Some engines are loved, some are hated, and then there is the Chrysler 2.7 liter V6. This engine is so bad, so catastrophically awful that it destroyed cars, bank accounts, and Chrysler's already fragile reputation. Today on the Racing Helmet, we are going to tear apart one of the most unreliable engines ever built, and trust me, this thing deserves every bit of roasting it gets. Let's rewind back to 1998. Chrysler wanted a modern, efficient V6 to compete with Japanese brands. The old pushrod V6 were outdated. So, Chrysler proudly introduced the 2.7 liter dual overhead cam V6. On paper, it looked decent. 200 horsepower, decent fuel economy, and smooth design. This wasn't some obscure motor either. Chrysler shoved it into a ton of cars. And here's the tragic part. This ticking time bomb wasn't limited to one unlucky model. The 2.7 liter V6 showed up in the Dodge Intrepid, Chrysler Concorde, Chrysler Sebring, Dodge Stratus, Chrysler LHS, Chrysler 300M, and even early versions of the Chrysler 300 in the mid-2000s. That's right. Some of Chrysler's most important sedans and coupes carried this grenade under the hood, which meant thousands and thousands of unlucky owners got to experience just how bad this engine really was. Let's talk about sludge. Every engine makes a little sludge over time, but the 2.7 liter turned it into an art form. The crankcase ventilation was terrible. The oil passages were tiny, and the engine just cooked oil into tar. Within 60,000 kilometers, some owners were already dealing with complete engine failure, not because they abused it, but because the engine design was fundamentally broken. Imagine buying a brand new car, changing your oil on time, and then the engine dies anyway. That was the Chrysler 2.7 liter experience. And then there's the water pump. Most cars have the water pump mounted on the outside of the engine. Simple, accessible, reliable. But Chrysler thought, nah, let's put it inside the engine and drive it off the timing chain. Genius, right? Wrong. When the water pump seals failed, which they often did, coolant didn't leak on the ground where you could see it. No, it leaked straight into the oil pan. Coolant mixed with oil, turning it into a milkshake of death that wiped out bearings faster than you could say mechanics bill. If sludge didn't kill the 2.7, the water pump could finish the job. Now, let's add insult to injury. Chrysler decided to use a timing chain instead of a belt. Usually a smart move for durability. But because the oiling system was so bad, the chain tensioner often failed. The result? The timing chain would jump, valves would smash into pistons, and the engine was done. Congratulations! You now own a very large paperweight that used to be called a Chrysler V6. Also, if you are still watching, consider subscribing to support my channel. Stories from owners are brutal. Engines dying at 80,000 kilometers. Mechanics refusing to rebuild them because it wasn't worth the time. Used car values plummet. Because if a Chrysler had the 2.7 liter under the hood, nobody wanted it. Imagine trying to sell your Dodge Intrepid and the first question you hear is, does it have the 2.7 liter? If the answer was yes, good luck selling it for more than scrap value. Even lawsuits popped up. Owners took Chrysler to court over premature failures. But at the end of the day, the engine was a ticking time bomb, and no legal battle could change that. By the mid-2000s, the damage was done. Chrysler's reputation for reliability was in the gutter, and the 2.7 was one of the main reasons. While Honda and Toyota were building engines that lasted forever, Chrysler gave the world an engine that couldn't survive basic maintenance. It scared buyers away, killed resale values, and contributed to Chrysler's downward spiral before its bankruptcy. So, there you have it. The Chrysler 2.7-liter V6. An engine so bad it deserves its own hall of shame. It promised modern performance and efficiency, but it delivered sludge, lawsuits, and scrap metal. Was this the worst engine of all time? Or do you think another deserves the crown? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this roast, smash that like button and subscribe to the Racing Helmet for more car stories every Tuesday. Until next time, keep your oil clean and never buy a Chrysler with 2.7.